WEMFradio.com.
Sweet.
Hey, I'm Pat B.
I'm JM the Thriller Priest.
And I'm Adam Willis.
Just Johnny.
And this is the Geek Down on WEMF Radio.
Lead me forward, Bionic.
Right there was this man giving, like, I don't know, you started off with, like, Doug, and then you started doing some weird stuff, and then you give me this weird look, man. I'm pausing like, hey. Yeah, that's right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Geek Down here on WEMF. I am Pat B. In the house, I turn to my left. My man, he's deaf, he's blind, but he's still funky on the rhyme. I'm trying to work out funky diabetic, but you don't have that, man. I'm sorry. Okay, our very own Skunky Beaumont, Blackadder Willis.
Yes, sir. How we doing, Patrice? Happy Christmas to you, my friend. I won't see you before next holiday.
Thank you. I'm wearing my colors, my red and green.
Yep, you look good. You look good as always on a Monday.
Oh, thank you. Also going to turn it over to our very own. He's going to bless our dinner.
Yeah.
James the Thriller Priest.
The dinner with no food. I'm glad to be here. Try to spice things up a little bit. See how this goes.
All right, he's going to give us the lowdown on WWE Clash of Champions. The Clash of Champions.
I wish it was as good as that intro.
I like to get the priest covering the violence of the show.
Of course.
Yeah. It does make me feel better about it.
Hey, like Reverend Slick, man. He was always there in the mix.
Yes.
Well, that's what he does. He gives us redemption for covering his bullshit. Yeah. All right. And over there, keeping us extra pretty and extra serious. Just Johnny.
Yeah.
Keeping it simple, keeping it simplistic.
Yo.
Yep.
That's right.
We got some serious reviews tonight, though.
Yeah. We do indeed.
Some big products.
Yes, sir. We are going to talk about Marvel's Runaways, which we didn't get to a couple of weeks ago. Unfortunately, we had a couple of conflicts, and Mix Macabre was going to be in-house to cover that and couldn't get it together last time and couldn't get it together tonight, unfortunately. But I have stepped up to the plate. I got that.
Yep.
And also, I'm really jazzed about that one because I used to read the comic series back when it was actually available in physical print.
Yep.
I think it might still be. I'm saying, back in the 1800s.
When print was still the dominant form of communication.
I remember back in my day, we used to take the comics and put them in the bags.
Yeah.
I don't even know what a comic is. I just know what comicsology? I know what that is.
I
don't even know about papers.
What app is it on my phone?
Yeah, okay. The rest of us are old farts.
Yeah.
All right. And also, Johnny's got the inside stuff on Scoregasm.
Son of Scoregasm.
The son of Score. Oh, wow.
Yep.
Apparently,
That's the full title.
Scoregasm was that real.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I'm shooting scores all over the gasms.
Okay, I'm gonna stop right there in advance. Let y'all know that we also have Tonya now. Being from all of us being from New England, we each have some. Well, actually, I don't know about Johnny. You from like where? Dubuque, Nova Scotia.
It's called Fall River.
Fall River.
Yeah.
Fall River.
Fall River,
Fall
Sweden.
River.
I didn't know that was a place.
Ooh,
Awesome.
Trash.
Ooh.
No, I'm just kidding. Fall River, Zimbabwe. Johnny's from. All right, so tell us about. I'm kidding.
But we're all of a certain age. We're all of a certain age, you're right. Talk about Tonya Harding and the Nancy Kerrigan issue that came up.
They made a comedy biopic about a 30-year-old event.
So we're all old enough to comment on that, having experienced it. So I'm actually really looking forward to this. But we also got a movie that a few people saw this week.
Yeah, a couple of folks heard of this one. Star Wars. Star Wars, a force to be reckoned with.
The stars. There's a war going on up there. I'm going to tune into this one. Yeah.
The Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi. The Final Jedi. Yeah, my ass. We are talking about Star Wars: The Last Jedi, Episode 8. Now this one's we've been chomping at the bit for this one for about 2 years. So they finally gave us a taste. They finally said, you know what? I got you. Here, sit down. JM blessed it. It was funky. All right, we about to do a thing, but first I'm gonna kick it over to my man, Just Johnny.
Yep.
Because dude, Scoregasm. First of all,
Scoregasm.
the name is the name like
hilarious.
Excuse me, son of Scoregasm.
Son of Scoregasm.
I'm assuming that first Scoregasm then was the shmoo.
Yeah.
So it was spawning all over the place. It was camping and spawning all over the place.
You know, this game.
Camping all over.
This game
spawned in 3, 2. Sorry.
Yeah, okay. You're shooting your sons and gasming all over the place. This is like there's so many games that this game is like. It's like yet another clone of a twin stick shooter. This one adds a little bit of puzzle elements. You are very much contained within a small arena environment. If any of you remember the old Xbox 360 twin stick shooter game that was really awesome.
Oh, yes.
Sort of like retro.
Wars.
Yeah, Geometry Wars.
Geometry Wars was big.
Yeah, this is just like Geometry Wars. It does things a little bit different.
Geometry Wars. Everybody loved it. They're like, you got to play Geometry Wars. I'm like, this sucks.
Geometry Wars is actually pretty good. It's pretty addictive.
Geometry
it's
Wars
fun.
2.
They're both really good. Actually, I
good.
like the first one. It was pretty good.
Yeah, but you like bad stuff. So tell us about Scoregasm. Yeah, that's right. I said it.
Oh, all right.
Like you just like snatched his review. Jeez, B. It's like on to the next story.
Let's see what's going on. Okay. Tell us about Scoregasm. I'm sorry.
Right. So it's a twin stick shooter. It looks, it has a very retro aesthetic. It looks like it's riffing heavily on Geometry Wars, both with the art aesthetic. It has very vibrant, bright colors. There's a lot of geometric shapes that are coming at you. Very simple. Geometry, sort of lines around the objects are sort of highlighted. It's almost like a hybrid between Geometry Wars and Asteroid as far as how it looks.
I definitely got that sense, even from the artwork, and I checked out a couple of the promo videos. I didn't get a chance to play it myself, unfortunately. They only sent us one code, but I definitely got the sense of heavy Asteroid's influence, but also that's not really something you've seen in Shiza, man, at least a generation.
No, you've seen this before in other places. It's a very simple art style. It's not worth it's not worth saying that it's not worth praising because it's not special because I've seen it so many other places before in games like Space Invaders Extreme and Pac-Man Championship Edition and a bunch of other games. I mean, it's nothing special. It's not bad. It's just very, especially in this one, it's very simple. This game was made by essentially one person and another person that did the music. So kind of two people, but also I kind of question that because there's in the credits. By the way, you can beat this game in less than a half hour.
Oh, it's short.
Oh, it's exceptionally short.
Okay.
If you look at the credits, there's two people on the credit list, and then underneath that, it mentions that some of the music, doesn't specify how much, but some of the music was grabbed from like this free online music and sound effects website and stuff like that. So you're pretty much playing a student project by this one person. It's very British. I'm guessing the person is from England or the UK or somewhere in that vicinity, or maybe like Australian or something like that. I have no clue, but there are references to like kings and biscuits and stuff like that. It's nothing to write home about. So that's why I'm guessing it's from the UK somewhere. Right. But yeah, it's just you've played this game before. I've played this game before in many different iterations. This one lacks the polish of some of the better games out there, like Geometry Wars and others.
Well,
and
if it's made by one person, I can see why.
Yeah, it can be made by one person, but still have polish. Made by one person, you could still have polish. Things I would give, some slack to is, made by one person doesn't have as much content there. I'd be willing to forgive that sort of thing. I'd be willing to forgive like variety in music and stuff like that. Like a very focused game design, which this is. It's very focused. It's basically, you're playing as this little ship thing, and you're shooting other ship things in outer space, but it's like geometric outer space of some sort, and you just shoot them and you dodge the bullets. So it's like a bullet hell twin stick shooter, and that's it. So it's very extremely simple gameplay. So I wouldn't knock.
It sounds like you wouldn't knock it. You'd say give it a chance, but it's not the game to get when you have like a weekend to kill and you just want to sit down and find something intensive. It sounds like it may be.
If you have an hour to kill.
Yeah, it sounds like maybe on the same level as like a cell phone game.
I'm on the train.
No, I'm not recommending this. I'm recommending to stay away from this game.
Really? Oh, because okay. Lay it down, man. What's good?
There's nothing good in this game. It's
so okay.
The good
Fair
part.
Enough.
The good part about this game is that there are other games that do exactly what this does and do it better. That's the good part about this game, is that while playing it, I realized, I'd rather be playing these other games that do the same exact thing, except way better and either cheaper or for the same price. Because this is a $10 game that only gives you a half hour to an hour worth of entertainment. It has leaderboards, but why would you want to go on these leaderboards, which are pretty much empty, and play this type of game when there's better, more competitive leaderboards in better made games other than this one? It's not that it's a bad made game. It's just everything in here has been done before. There's nothing unique about it. It's
I hate to break it to you, Johnny. That's what qualifies as a bad game.
Yeah. I think so.
Well, no. I mean, there are bad. Like the controls aren't like super bad. The frame rate's not skipping and dropping and stuff like that. Like there's no bad.
That should be standard. You know what I mean? That doesn't have like
crappy controls.
Yeah, basically.
Like when you think bad, you think like Superman 64, like Bubsy.
You enjoy Superman 64? Okay, what about the NES Superman where you that little chibi with the big head? Yeah, everyone loved that. Woo!
But even a bad game should work properly.
So enough beating it down and stuff. Thumbs up, thums down, my man.
The thumbs down's already on there.
It's already on there, man. I think
you put it up there before the view even started.
Just to let the people know. Stay away from this one. There's just better stuff out there for $10 or cheaper. There's just better stuff. You'll get the same exact game. It's $10, yeah.
For a 30-minute game?
For a 30-minute game.
That does seem like an error in judgment there.
If they charged, this is more like something that you can get some decent amount of fun out of for like a $1 game or a $2 game. I mean, not to say that the prices. I mean, I would pay more if this game was doing something interesting, but there's nothing interesting. By the way, I didn't buy this game. This game was supplied.
Circling, we are burning time, man. So I'm sorry you didn't pick this game, dude.
That's
with a name like Scoregasm. I thought it would be some hot stuff.
Good name, not bad game, just forgettable.
Okay, all right. Sorry, yeah, for real. It was also.
Thought it'd bring him to the brink.
Have you sweating?
I thought it was gonna bring me there. Then yeah, come on.
Scoregasm have you feeling for more.
That's all. That's all I'm doing.
Well, they can't all be champions. But I mean, I'm sorry.
Can't all be champions. What?
I'm trying to go out on like a halfway decent.
Correct. They cannot be.
It is what it is.
All
right.
Can't be the king.
All right. Well, let's talk about Marvel's Runaways, which is a TV series on Hulu. Whereas most of the previous Marvel series have come out on Netflix.
Yep.
This is a Hulu show.
Or ABC, right? ABC did Shield and
all
that.
we don't talk about those. They're not great.
No?
Okay, have you watched 2 episodes of Inhumans and tell me how quick you are to invoke that mess?
No, I have no desire to. So go ahead.
But Hulu's crushing the game with TV.
Hulu's doing okay, man. We talked about Future Man a little while back. Yep. Herb, you checked out Future Man.
I love that series.
Yeah. Well,
so he's into it, but just on TV, I think if you're gonna like get a streaming subscription to anything, like if you like TV, Hulu's the way to go.
Hulu's doing big things,
and not just like old TV, but they have like the new series coming up. Yeah.
Marvel's Runaways is a series about children who, as far as they know, they're kids who their parents are kind of well off, and they go to school, and they were friends when they were real little, and then just kind of grew apart over time, and they're forced back together. And hey, their parents are having one of those group nights out. What are we gonna do with the kids? Let them party in the other side of the house. Fine. And they're kind of awkward around each other, and they don't really have anything new in common. And then they say, okay, you know what? Hey, let's raid the liquor cabinet. So in roaming the house, they stumble across their parents taking part in this kind of, it looks like a religious ceremony, but really it's just kind of like some.
The parents are doing this?
The parents are doing this.
Okay.
And it turns out their parents, they find out through a series of events that their parents are actually an evil organization called the Pride. And they each cover one aspect of an underground criminal empire. And in the Marvel Universe, these cats are respected by Dr. Doom. They're respected. Nice. Yeah. Professor X and the Shield and the Avengers consider them like a legitimate threat, but their territory is the West Coast. And this isn't like some West Coast Avengers type stuff. They are like ground level, underground. Like, don't mess with us. We are the Kingpin. Kingpin has New York. The Pride has L.A. Okay. That's the level they are, which was a good premise for a book because their kids decide we don't want to be evil like our parents. What are we gonna do? And then they rebel, and then they run away, and that's where the series name comes from, The Runaways. Now the TV show is attempting to adapt this, and this I'm glad they finally pulled the product out. Marvel's Runaways was one of the original Marvel series that was planned, that was slated for a movie. And this is back when they were trying to do like Ant-Man. They were trying to do, and they did Ant-Man. Ant-Man was a funny movie, but I think it may have been limited by the time and.
Well, Ant-Man had a lot of trouble coming out the gate too.
It did.
Like it definitely changed hands a few times.
And sadly, because of that, certain properties like Runaways ended up getting shelved. But I think now it's worked out for it because I'll say right now, this wasn't a perfect show, but it's one that showed a lot more promise and has delivered a lot more quality than shows of this ilk have tried. I mentioned Inhumans a few minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
Inhumans is a show that has an okay story. Like, it's not one I was jazzed about from the comics, but I thought they could do really good things with it after seeing shows like Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, because when you have the full backing of the company behind you.
Well, isn't
and
that
they're
what you're
not-
always going to compare them to from now on? You know what I mean? I
It's-
think
I know
every
not.
sort of
I
comic
know
book
I am.
show- Yeah.
I know without a doubt. I mean, if a show, specifically a Marvel television show, does not come out by Netflix, I am incredibly hesitant to even give it a shot.
Yep.
Without a doubt. So with Inhumans, I
agree.
have not watched it. I saw the trailer for Runaways, and I was like, Netflix handed it in it. I don't know if I want to deal with it. I mean, I know it's really
That's true.
close-minded of me, but
Yes, how
walk
dare
me-
you?
walk
man.
me
You
through
call
it, Pete.
yourself a journalist. What the hell? Or even where's that priestly forgiveness you supposed to tout? Come on now.
hey, you bark up the wrong tree in the
You
end.
sitting there, get behind me and humans like this dude. But no,
But walk me through it. Like, is it worth me taking that risk? Because I mean, granted, stick them on Netflix.
Mhm.
You run the risk of burying everything into it. You get something like Iron Fist, which is clearly the weakest out of all of them.
Yes.
But the same token, it's like, well, look what happened with the Punisher. So I'm like, okay, my faith is restored.
Right.
And Jessica Jones season 2 is dropping soon. So why should I give up this emotional high that I'm in with the Punisher to reach over to another distributor with Hulu?
Well,
Mhm.
your issue is
Yeah.
like a new one too, and it's interesting. It's just like this weird loyalty to a
Yeah.
streaming service that
Mhm.
I think
it's kind of a
makes
new
no
thing, but-
sense, but it does because I have it too.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's just like why it's like, oh well, if Netflix isn't doing the Marvel series, like why would I watch it? You know what I mean?
Adam
It's
is,
like
Adam
they seem
is,
to got a
Adam is
pigeonhole in it.
staunchly
You know what I mean?
loyal to Torrent Spy.
Right.
But
Right.
no, I will actually answer that
Mhm.
question. I'm not
Yes.
here to sell the series. I'm not
Mhm.
here to tell you to get it and don't get it. I'm just giving an honest review. But my honest
Mhm,
review
yeah.
is I don't think you would dig it. I don't think you are
Huh.
someone who would get into it. And the thing is, if you're
Hmm.
used to a certain type
Yeah.
of show, especially from Marvel, not just from Netflix, but from Marvel themselves, this is different. This is targeting a younger audience.
So what's
which-
the violence like? Is it
the,
toned
the
down a lot?
violence is there, but it's not like overbearing.
Right.
Like, you are not going to see the level of violence you saw in Luke Cage. There's not bullets flying everywhere. You're not going to see like the hand to hand, the melee violence and smashing like you saw in Jessica Jones.
So
Right.
is it more like a PG-13 type show?
Definitely.
Or- okay.
But we're also talking about kids. We're not talking.
True.
We're talking
Right.
about kids with powers that they're just discovering. So
Okay.
it's not like I've been doing this and I'm not Static Shock. I'm not like a
Mhm.
veteran hero, even though I'm only 15.
Mhm.
You know, these are kids. Their powers are just manifesting. It's in each different realm, and they don't have their parents to guide them because their parents are the enemy. You know, so it's a very interesting take, and in the book, it worked perfectly. In the show, I'm seeing growing pains because they're doing their absolute best. One of the girls has a dinosaur.
Mhm.
Okay, when you think about bringing a dinosaur to television, to the
Mhm.
visual media, it can go two ways. It can go
So Whoopi
Jurassic Park,
Goldberg
which is
movie?
great if you have all the money in the universe.
Mhm.
Or it can go. Do you remember like Hercules' Legendary Journeys, with
Yeah.
like that very basic?
What's the
CG
Whoopi Goldberg
and,
movie?
You know, all this stuff.
Her partner's the
The one
T-Rex?
with what was it? Something Rex.
Simon Rex or something? Something like that?
Terminator Rex.
Yeah, I don't know.
It wasn't Terminator
Anyway,
Rex. That would have been a better name.
it didn't work
That
out.
would have been a better name.
It didn't work out.
It was something basic
yeah.
like Billy Rex or something.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, you're right. That's a perfect example of something that didn't work.
Mhm.
The best you can hope for is something like the TV show Dinosaurs. You know?
You mean like
So-
Dr. Mama?
Yeah.
Like with the little baby?
So with Earl
Mhm.
Sinclair in them. So you start the
Yeah.
bar
Earl
really
Sinclair.
low. And Marvel's Runaways does a great job with CG like that. They have good effects. They have
Mhm.
a story that it's long, it's extended. I mean, the thing went across, I think, 5 graphic novels when I stopped reading it.
Huh.
And they're condensing this down to a single TV season, I think maybe 13 episodes. But so far, it's going at a good clip, and the acting is great, especially for kids.
Mhm.
But it also really, really caters to a specific audience.
Okay.
A lot of the issues they talk about, it was interesting when I read the book 10 plus years ago,
Mhm.
and now 10 plus, dang. Maybe
Reality.
not. Well, maybe not quite 10, but
Whatever. Pete.
regardless, I'm no longer of the appropriate age that this is directly targeting. I don't have the same issues that these kids are having.
Mhm.
I know more about the world than they do, and they deal with this. And the way they do is very interesting story-wise, but I think this is definitely meant for younger audiences. I'm going to give it a thumbs up, but I'm going to put that caveat on it. It's a thumbs up if you're between the ages of, say, 12 and 25. You know, because it's more relatable and it's more
Okay.
enjoyable in that respect. Things like the effects are definitely shown you definitely see the differences between Hulu shows and Netflix shows. Going back to Future Man was a Netflix show versus a Hulu show. It's another one we talked about a couple shows back. You can check them out on WEMF Radio and twitch.tv/The Geek Down. You will see definite I don't know. It's like you'll see how they're not quite worlds apart, but they're apart enough where it's the difference between.
Well, like Hulu spent all their money on Seinfeld.
This is on this is
Seinfeld
HBO.
reruns.
This is HBO primetime movie versus this is Telemundo. Thursday night,
like
slot
TBS.
feature.
You ain't say
that bad,
Telemundo,
right?
That's all.
TBS.
That's all I'm saying. Regardless, what it comes down to, I ran a little long, my bad. But what it comes down to is Marvel's Runaways on Hulu. I give it a thumbs up. I say check it out, but with the caveat of it's definitely for certain ages, for specific ages. But still, it's a good story.
I got you. All right.
So now I'm gonna kick it over to JM the Thriller Priest.
Okay.
Who was sexualizing kids before the show.
Yeah.
We had a long conversation about this man wants to see Doug Funny. He wants to see Doug Funny get all up in that patty mayonnaise.
You about to get me yoked up, man? Like, come on, son. I'm not trying to get up on me.
Calls it like it is.
Hater.
All right.
You're going to hell for that one, man.
I'm sitting this one out.
Real, P. Jeez, you want to get me?
He was sucking at you, sir. All right, we'll fix that in post.
He's talking to you? We'll
fix that.
We'll fix that in post.
Yeah, all right.
Right now.
By the way, that riff harks on a joke before the show started, folks.
JM the Thriller Priest has the
I
inside
like how you
stuff
saying.
on WWE Clash of Champions. Now, as we're burning time on air, my man, give me your
All right.
thoughts on this
all right.
latest WWE, actually the final pay-per-view for 2017. Am I correct?
Of WWE, yes. Maybe everybody. Oh, but definitely WWE. All right, let me get my mind right. After Pete just threw me out there like that. All right, Dolph Ziggler went up against Baron Corbin and Bobby Roode. Let me double back. This event actually happened here in Boston last night.
Were you there?
Nah, I wasn't there. I wasn't there. I mean, you know, if you had got me some tickets with the sponsorship that we got this deal.
The most of the expenses for the last few months have come out of my pocket, right?
Fair enough.
So yeah,
This uses the petty cash. Right.
you know where the show funds went to get you that energy drink, brother. You're welcome.
This constitutes all of the petty cash right here.
Fair enough.
Savor it. All
right, so it happened in Boston. Last pay-per-view of the year, as P laid out. Dolph Ziggler went up against Baron Corbin and Bobby Roode. Ziggler took it. I mean, it was just a standard triple threat match, but it was high-paced. It was really good to see these guys go and move quickly. They did their standard superplex powerbomb combo, which they do in almost every triple threat match. Match ended with the deep six/zigzag combo, where Ziggler took it. My only issue with this is that this was a fine opportunity to have thrown the strap on Bobby Roode to show that we're actually moving in a direction towards the future without just giving it to another old guy. But I assume since Vince is really trying to prepare for WrestleMania, that may happen at WrestleMania for the WrestleMania moment, because Vince knows what New Japan is doing with this monster match at New Japan on Wrestle Kingdom next month, where
New
Chris
Japan is
Jericho
gearing up, isn't it?
they're gearing up, man. They beginning of next month. They have their big match where Chris Jericho is going up against Kenny Omega, and they've been building this up for a while. So I mean, Vince has to figure out a way.
Was it?
And the press conference was awesome. So I mean, they're trying to build this up. So I can see Vince saying, "Let's hold off on that. This Bobby Roode getting the title until then." Tag team title match was a 4-way tag team match for the SmackDown title. The Usos went up against the New Day, Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin, as well as Rusev and Aiden English. One of the things that I noticed is the commentators are spending so much time trying to defend and build up Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin, because at the end, they don't really have personality. I mean, you have the Usos who come out
and they ain't nothing.
I mean, really, it's just like, oh, you're American Alpha Point 2.0. And it's just like, you really don't have anything. You can wrestle great, but I'm not bought into your gimmick at all. I mean, Boston fans are some of the worst. So, I mean, they came out and just like, okay, you can wrestle. Great, but you got to entertain me first. So, I mean, the Usos come out. They're wearing the black and the gold because, you know, Bruins colors. You're in Boston. They're talking trash. The New Day comes out. They didn't even speak this go around. But they're handing out pancakes. That's their new gimmick, is hand out pancakes to the audience. Like, legit, just throw pancakes at people.
Is there a theme?
I'm assuming it goes along with breakfast because of the Booty-O's breakfast cereal. So they're doing pancakes. And folks are eating these pancakes. They're flipping them out. It's just, it's hilarious. People are like, let me get these pancakes. And like, they didn't even say anything, but the gimmick was there.
Oh, wait. Are they calling them booty flaps? That's a Booty-O flapjacks. Booty flaps on it.
Oh, and I'm the one who sexualizing Doug. All right,
Yeah.
And they feed him his booty and they got contracts. Come on, man.
Idiot,
See,
man.
now he all defensive.
Yes.
As I
Yes.
should be.
Yes.
Rusev and Aiden English is a recent team they threw together. And at first I wasn't buying it, but the gimmick is so good. I mean, all it is Aiden English, who's a trained opera singer, sings about Rusev, and they're a tag team. To the point where his whole thing is Rusev Day, that every day is Rusev Day because in Bulgaria they honor Rusev. So the audience is cheering Rusev Day. Rusev Day. And to see that the audience has bought into this gimmick for
I
a
like
guy
that, though.
who was set up to fail, because we knew this was a tag team that's supposed to fail. That Rusev is getting punished because of how he broke storyline with him and Lana on TMZ. And Vince is slapping
You're
his
talking
hand.
about Vince McMahon doesn't care about black people. Oh, wait, that wasn't him?
That wasn't him. That
Okay,
wasn't
all
him.
right.
That wasn't him.
How
So-
out of breath you were when you said that, too.
No, that's how he said it.
All right.
Yeah.
that wasn't what he
Okay,
said.
I'm going to say it again. Adam, you look at him like,
Who didn't?
Yo, that's-
Not my president. Oh, shut up.
Yo, he said it with such a straight face too. That whole. I'm sorry, when I was watching, I'm just like, that is shady. I feel so bad for Mike Myers. He just had this look like, where do I go?
Oh,
I don't
it's so
know what to
perfect.
do.
His eyes, though. It's so perfect. Anyways.
Look at him like, hello.
It was like, so Kanye, how do you feel about this? George Bush is like black people. Just didn't even look at him. Didn't even look at him. Mike Myers freaking out. He just stayed deadpan to the camera. It was
Austin
like,
Powers jokes, anybody? No.
So Kanye, you ready to introduce Toby Keith?
He should have showed the shrug and just walked
Oh,
off.
it's so
But
good.
let's get back to this WWE thing.
All right.
But in any event, Usos kept the belt, but it was just really good to see how Rusev and Aiden English, especially a guy like Rusev who was destined to fail. I mean, but for him to be able to succeed, at least be able to get a following, is a great deal. Charlotte went up against Natalya in a lumberjack match. It was just standard Natalya's Charlotte match. It honestly was just kind of a waste of time. I'm not knocking them. The women wrestle, but it was just a match that you'll see on SmackDown anyway. So why did you throw it together? It's kind of a waste of a storyline, honestly.
Well, wasn't like a big thing where there was like something legit on the line? Wasn't there like
I mean, the title was on the line, but it's like they did this before the last pay-per-view, except this time it was like, oh, how can we get all the women on there? Let's put them all as lumberjacks. And it was just like, a lumberjack match is a lazy way of trying to get everybody involved and try to give them all screen time without actually putting them in a match. Like,
Right.
lumberjack matches are the worst. Let's
I was
jump
kind
to...
of hoping to see these ladies in like some flannel, and, you know, putting beards on them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
like Paul Bunyan.
Yeah, having to swing axes at each other. It's like, you know, wrestling's coming alive. No.
Nah, not at all. The Blunger brothers went up against Breezango. My only issue with this is the whole match was 1 minute and 58 seconds. And it's like, why do you have these guys who are clearly doing a squash match on television? I mean, on a pay-per-view. It's a squash match. You should have just got two random jobbers to go in there instead of fighting these two guys who are your comedic fighters. Breezango is a great comedic team. Their whole thing is doing comedy. They're the fashion police. They get these little segments every Tuesday night. So you throw them in a match for them to just get whooped up in 1 minute and 58. It's just a waste of time. It's almost disgusting because
Waste of story time.
it's a waste of story time. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn went up against Randy Orton and Shinsuke Nakamura. They won with some sort of controversy with Daniel Bryan doing a fast count. And AJ Styles went up against Jinder Mahal and kept his belt. Really was just a regular match between the two of them from the last pay-per-view again. So they just kind of recycle some of the matches.
Wait, so why is it all banal? Is it just like
I felt that it was.
End of the year.
I think it's one of those, we got this pay-per-view that we have to kill. We got a major one coming up next month in Royal Rumble, but we got
You're
to
not
gear
going
up
to
for
kill a bunch
WrestleMania.
of storylines in this one,
You're
right?
not.
Yeah.
You just need to get this done because we got to make it through the big pay-per-view of Royal Rumble and really gear up for WrestleMania.
And where was this one hosted?
Here in Boston.
Yeah.
The one thing I do
You
want to
got
point
screwed,
out,
man.
Come with it.
the one thing I do want to point out here, and I'm gonna end with this. This is my biggest complaint about WWE is that they spend too much time talking, just talking. The whole pay-per-view from start to finish. I'm counting the pre-show in this because the pre-show had a match. Was 3 hours, 3.76 hours. I mean, for the whole thing, for the whole pay-per-view,
Okay,
from
alright,
pre-show
I'm
to close,
We got a
3.76
9-hour
hours, right?
pay-per-view.
Yes.
I wish it was. I mean, in a good way, not with this ratio though. So the whole thing from start of pre-show to the end of the pay-per-view lights out was 3.76 hours. Literally 1 hour and 1.46 hours was spent on wrestling.
Really?
So a third of it was on
like the
wrestling. So
Oscars, man.
2/3 of it was just talking nonsense.
Well,
And
The,
it's like,
the
wait,
Academy
what are you talking
Awards
about?
of wrestling shows.
I'm
basically.
just like, what are you doing,
Well,
man?
what kind of was it? Interviews or was
It
it
was
like when I
everything.
get you in the ring? Are they bringing that
That's
back?
it. Yeah.
It's
Were they?
that. It's advertising for the network. It's advertising for the action figures.
Oh,
it's
come
just
on, man.
oh, there's a scuffle in the back. People are just rolling around in the back. It's like all this time away for the ring.
Let me
And it's
stay
just
in the
like,
middle of
what
the
are you
ring with
doing?
a
It's
mic and
it's
be
like, oh,
like,
no.
when I get you to
Big Show
WrestleMania.
and Shane are at it again.
Pretty
Oh,
much.
no.
It's just
Here
like
comes AJ Styles off the top rope. They in the locker room. I mean, off the
trash
top
can
bench.
or whatever. And it's
Yeah.
just like you
Sitting there hitting
spend.
them like this.
Yeah.
Oh no, the blows just keep coming.
Do you
How
think
will he
that's
ever
a
survive?
consistent issue
With WWE?
or was
Yes.
just this one in particular that really stood out? But like, I
something
think
just-
it's been
It's been like this for a while. I think
Right.
something just said to me earlier. I was like, let me just actually do the math on how much time they spend
yeah.
or just talking versus the actual wrestling. Because I mean, I'm gearing up for New Japan's pay-per-view for Wrestle Kingdom, and that is literally just matches, like
By the way,
match after match after match.
I like the selling of a match too. If you can, if you can talk, you know what I mean, do the promos,
Mhm.
you know what I mean. There's certain wrestlers that can do that, but
Mhm.
if it's like that much of the pay per view that you're paying for, like
Mhm.
that's really not.
It's a
That-
problem.
you're
I
trying
mean,
to-
if
it's
you
a regular season match thing, not a pay-per-view match thing.
Right.
Well,
Yeah,
pay-per-view,
pretty much.
If I paid for the pay-per-view, you already sold me. Now give me the show.
Correct.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes. We're already here. Give me the action. You know what I mean? That's what I'm
Exactly.
paying
Yeah.
for.
Stop
Literally
teasing.
paying for. Right.
So
Stop teasing.
so with that,
Got me
so
looking
with
like
that,
Mr. Dink.
The joke's dead. I'm not even bringing it
Joke's
back.
gone. The joke's gone. and my career
He's
is shot,
purple though,
folks.
bro.
But anyway, should you see this? Honestly, you can take it or leave it. I mean, I don't really want to give it a thumbs down, but I mean, as long as you can take it or leave it. I mean, it's really hard to judge WWE's pay-per-views.
But if you're paying for it, isn't that a
yeah.
thumbs
I mean,
down?
if you're paying like $50 for it, you don't
Is
get
that a thumbs down, right?
Oh, that's definitely
All
a
right.
thumbs down. But
All
if you got the network,
You got the
you can take
network
it or leave
watch
it.
it.
But
You're
if
gonna watch it anyway.
yeah,
right?
absolutely, might as well watch it. But I
Gotcha.
mean, if you're paying like $50,
Don't.
do not. I mean,
All
let me
right.
look at all these cameras. Don't pay $50
All right,
at all.
that's what matters. You know what I mean? That's it.
All right.
So it's
I want to talk to this next
pretty much.
topic. Let's
Yes,
get
sir.
it.
All right, thank you, brother. It's WWE Clash of Titans. Damn
Champions.
it, Clash of Champions. Any other Clash would have been better.
Civilizations.
WWE scored by the Clash. Let's just say that. All right.
The only band that matters. Yeah.
All right, dude. Let's talk about I, Tonya.
Yes.
I, Tonya is the okay. Now let me get this straight. It's the comedic, dramatic biopic
Yeah.
about Tonya Harding. Not just about the event around the Tonya Harding Nancy Kerrigan scandal.
Life.
Yes, exactly. About Tonya Harding's rise to stardom and how she became the first woman at the time, to ever hit a triple axel in competition in competitive ice skating. And I think since then, this is what 25 years later.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, something like that. She's still only one of 4 women to ever successfully do it in competition.
The triple axel.
The triple axel.
Mm-hmm.
Really kind of just peaked with a certain thing, and I haven't seen this movie, but I'm just going to talk about it a little bit.
Go for it.
When I was young, this was a huge deal.
Yes,
and
it
most
was.
normal people don't know about like
Tonya
the ins
Harding
and out
ice
of
skating
the
and
ins
figure
and out
skating.
about figure skating and skating in general. You know what I mean? So the whole controversy and the whole the thing surrounding this, obviously, with her hitting Nancy Kerrigan's knee and then hiring a goon, it was just something out of a really bad Schwarzenegger movie, and it was like so captivating for me that I
The
thought this was
political
normal.
drama of the figure skater getting whacked in the knee.
Correct. It was such
We're on a 24-hour
big,
news cycle now, covering.
It was such a big weird deal that like I thought that was just like, hey, you know, it made the Olympics exciting. It made me want to watch it. You know what I mean? It was like, you know,
That's true.
it
That's very
brought
true.
people to it. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
thought like, wow, the Olympics are crazy. That's how cutthroat and competitive it is. And like honestly, it didn't rub me the wrong way in terms of like people are doing bad things to each other. I just thought it was like at the highest level of competition, that's what people are willing to do, and that's what I took away from it as a kid. I'm like, wow, that's how great it is.
I mean, when I was a kid, they was bigging this up. So you're right. I mean, for most of us, it was kind of like blah. I remember I was into it just because it was all this televised propaganda.
It was like
of,
the OJ trial.
even
It was the
even
proto
before
OJ
Ice.
trial. Before OJ, there was Kerrigan Hart. There was
Right.
There was Kerrigan Hardigan.
Yeah.
There was Harding Kerrigan.
Oh, so before she even hit her knee, though, it was like this big deal. Like, okay, we might have Americans who's gonna be able to finish gold and silver. So it was like this big deal that these two
Yeah.
make it gold and silver. The assumption was that it's gonna be Nancy obviously gonna be the one getting gold, and Tanya's obviously gonna be the one getting silver. It was like
My mom
already
was all about
pigeonholed
Tanya.
that way.
I didn't know either. My mom was
but
like,
then-
no, Tanya.
Yeah.
Kerrigan
I don't
ain't
think
nothing. My
anybody
mom was
did, of
like,
course.
But then when Nancy got clipped, it was exactly what you said. Like, I gotta watch this
You
now.
have to
Like,
watch
I
this.
have to watch
But
this.
then you get pictures of this one woman who's like the picture perfect ice
Poster
skater. Then you get
child.
like the kind of the trashier,
Mm.
like
well,
you
it
know,
was America's sweetheart versus
Right.
America's bad girl.
not
And
just
that
bad
made
girl.
for-
It was a class thing. It was
so a class
so
thing.
much
Hence
people were
why-
attached to it. You're right.
Hence why everything made her the bad girl. She was
Yes.
from the wrong neighborhood. She had the wrong attitude. Her skating style. She skated to ZZ Top.
Yes,
she did.
You know, yeah.
because she
And-
has taste.
That's right.
It was, and she
Dire
had
Straits was
awesome
next.
routines, and the odds were always stacked against her. And the one thing I really like about I, Tonya is this movie portrayed everything fairly, but it didn't make it boring and it didn't make it sensational. It just told the story.
It didn't make it
in-
sensational.
It didn't make it.
It
sensational.
looked like that from the trailer. It looked
Well,
like
they
it
have to get your butt in the seat.
I
somehow.
get it, but
Mhm.
No, it's actually a very honest telling from Tanya's point of view. Well, not just from Tanya's point of view, from Tanya's point of view and the media's point of view.
She breaks the
And
fourth wall, right?
She
Through
breaks
all
the
this,
fourth
right?
wall, and that's part of the comedic effect of this.
Yeah.
I thought that was a great way to go too, because
Mhm.
had they just told the straightforward stunt story, it beat some Edward R. Murrow stuff. It's like I came to see an entertaining story, and at the very least, I want to see someone get whacked in the leg and then someone else acting ignorant. And they presented it in a way where you don't get exactly that. You actually get the real story and background and what led up to that, and where these people came from, which I thought was really cool to see.
which most people don't know, because most
Most
people
people don't
just
know,
like me
unfortunately,
just
like-
remember the knee.
Well,
They
exactly,
remember the
the way-
hired goon with that mustache.
Yeah, and the way
They remember that.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, if you'll notice when you two broke it, if you'll notice the way you two broke it down.
And she's crying and clutching her knee. I mean, I watched a 30 for 30 on this. It was
Why?
like, from that point on, actually, I've developed a soft spot for Tonya. After watching the 30 for 30, I'm like, man, Tonya had a hard knock life.
She did,
So
bro.
when you put this out to the team, because y'all know Pat's a showrunner, but Pat pushed it out to the team to see who cover it. I was so bad that I got the message late, because I so would have went out there and seen it, because I have this soft spot for Tonya, because I'm like, you know what? I can relate to her story of just being somebody who literally grinded her way to the
I
top.
think because we're
And-
poor, bro.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And ultimately, I mean, there's the movie at least show the fact that she may or may not, like, at least she didn't know, that her husband was going to hire this goon to clip Nancy.
No, and that's one thing that was really covered that people really had no clue about at the time, and even to this day didn't. I was going to bring up when you guys broke down your knowledge of the incident just now, you mentioned that when she hit her, and it's Pavlovian to automatically
she
associate
didn't,
Tonya
right.
Harding with the attack on Nancy Kerrigan, but
No, it
the
was
movie
another
breaks
reason.
down the truth, which was revealed in news stories eventually,
Yeah.
but was really glossed over
Yep.
by the public at the time. And then when the OJ trial came around, which was literally right after this, everyone just completely forgot. It was out of the nation's mind. What happened is, and it's portrayed in this film.
Man, what a
this
glorious
is-
time, those 90s. You
It
know
was-
what
it
I
was
mean?
wild.
Seriously.
It's portrayed in this film. This is not a spoiler because it was
It's
national
news.
news.
This is history.
Tanya had no idea, but everything that her at the time husband did and her bodyguard, which was pretty much just his dumb friend,
Right.
did was misinterpretations, all to advance her career. And she found out after the fact, but she didn't report it automatically, and that's what they eventually penalized her for.
Right.
They penalized her husband, arrested him. They penalized the friend, the bodyguard, and arrested him. And Tonya, even though they arrested her for not necessarily aiding and abetting, but impeding an investigation, that's what she eventually ended up getting banned from figure skating for life from competitive skating, which is really sad because Margot Robbie's performance in this is very sympathetic, and you really see that Tonya really, like, from birth. Maybe not from birth, but from like week one. Like really, it was like that mother.
It sounds like a little bit like the People versus Larry Flint in terms of the kind of having this character that's has this history of this this troubling stuff. I mean, obviously Larry Flint with Hustler magazine, but like
and
having a
Tonya
really
Harding with her figure skating, yes, it was a little.
But
different.
a sympathetic side to the tale, you know what I mean?
Someone who's
like,
been
it's
historically
like a little
vilified.
bit misunderstood, you know what I mean? There
and
is
the
that
portrayal
stigma.
in this by Margot Robbie was phenomenal, I have to say, and it's a very uncharacteristic role for her. We're used to seeing her playing more sexually appealing characters, more
Wolf of Wall Street, come on.
Yeah, exactly. Characters that are more
Suicide
confident,
Squad.
characters that have more presence. And Tonya Harding's a little reserved. She's someone who it's like you get in her face and she's gonna take you down. But she's not looking for a fight. She just wants to be accepted, just like any other female in society. She wants the acceptance of her peers and to not be hassled, like most women unfortunately have come to be accustomed to being hassled in our society. She never really had much money going for her, and she's taking part in a sport, figure skating, which is
having all
about
talent
money because,
in the world.
It was worth nothing to these people. And the movie really portrays that really well. When she gives a great routine, they still give her low scores because she didn't have the visual image that they were looking for. Her
I saw that in the
costumes
trailer.
aren't as fancy as they wanted.
Well,
her music isn't as classy because it's rock and roll, but no one wants that because the girl after you is skating to Tchaikovsky. Is skating to Beethoven.
Well, it's just like you having the deck stacked against you, you know what I mean? More ways than one. Not just with how you're born, but like how you perform, and then you're still in the hole because
And Allison Janney's portrayal of her mother is phenomenal. I think they might be up for Oscars. Allison Janney.
That's what the ask it
as
is this good Oscar worthy?
Yes, because you buy them completely. At times, I stopped seeing Margot Robbie, and I honestly saw Tonya Harding, just this woman struggling in the story, this woman being beaten. Like having her husband beat the hell out of her. This woman grabbing a shotgun and just fighting them down. I have to give it a thumbs up. I will say there are several parts of this that really, one, it was very entertaining. I really want to harp on how serious they took it, which was surprising because I thought they would completely lampoon it, but they took it very seriously. They told an honest story. Margot Robbie's performance was on point. There's a courtroom scene, the actual courtroom portrayal. A brother damn near teared up. It's serious, and at no point are you out of the story. I knew all this, and I was still riveted. And you get the actual facts come out. You find out what's going on with Tonya back then to today. They didn't have much coverage of Kerrigan herself. The character Nancy Kerrigan is represented in this, but they kept the focus primarily on Tonya Harding, which is kind of ironic because physically, Margot Robbie looks more like Nancy Kerrigan than she does Tonya Harding.
Hey, the knee clip happened though.
It did happen, brother.
Okay, cool.
What are we talking about here?
Just gotta make sure. Yeah,
it's the story.
You said Nancy was barely in it. I'm just trying to the portrayal of Nancy was barely in it. Like
she was.
If I'll see a knee clip, we got a problem.
She was in it to get whacked in the knee and taken out. Okay,
good,
that's the extent of her on here. But I have to call out the acting of Margot Robbie. From before this, I thought she was an okay actress. Now I see she's got range and she's got chops. Allison Janney, we know she does good stuff, but this might be the performance that gets her that Oscar nod. And we'll see from beyond there because it was that deep. And also Sebastian Stan. Sebastian Stan, who we all know, he plays Jeff Galooly, but Sebastian Stan, who we all know as Bucky from the Avengers, who we all know as the Winter Soldier. This dude, he always looks like himself, but he always doesn't. And I have to give it to him because it wasn't until I saw this that I realized this dude can really change up his look, can change up his acting style, and can really deliver a performance. This wasn't Shakespeare. This wasn't his best performance, but this was different enough from everything else I've seen him in that
he had to drop weight, didn't he, for this?
He had to drop a little weight, yeah, because he's not like D's, like
Winter Soldier,
like Winter Soldier, but he still had to have that redneck strength. Yeah. So when he comes,
swinging something.
Yeah, so when he's swinging that trailer, you believe it. It's. Tonya, I definitely give it a thumbs up. I recommend anyone check it out. If you're a fan of figure skating, you'll love it. If you're a fan of just biopics, this was a good one. And if you're a fan of just old school, I don't even know. I'm trying not to say the obvious terms.
Say it.
But just lowbrow, Jesus.
Storytelling.
Just see it. It's Tonya. It's damn good.
You know who says who ain't gonna see it? Nancy said she ain't seen it.
Oh
yeah, Nancy Kerrigan said I have no interest in seeing it.
Yeah.
She said she ain't gonna see it.
You know what? If
she said I've been there and I've done that. I'm like,
I don't blame her. I'm sorry, dude. It's a recount of her getting yoked. It's just
She got a silver.
Why?
She got a silver.
Yeah, exactly. She got
Eat
a
it.
silver. She was rated even by these hard asses second best in the world.
Why?
To an 18-year-old Ukrainian.
Why?
That's the thing I thought was
Sotomayor.
that's the thing I thought was the funniest part about it. Everyone was like, oh, is it gonna be Nancy? Is it gonna be Tanya? They were like, it's
What's colder than dry ice, by the way?
Forget them. All right. Okay, so now I'm gonna kick it over to Black Adam Willis to give us the inside stuff, to give us the full breakdown on Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
Man, I haven't seen this.
You haven't seen it.
Why
But what do you know
passed
about
me?
it?
We
sir?
talked about it.
Tell me about
You
that.
hit a soft spot with Adam because he said earlier,
I'm upset.
I haven't seen it. I'm seeing it tomorrow.
Tomorrow night.
So y'all
The
better not spoil it for me because
Well,
only me and you seen it.
The
Well,
tickets
that's
are
what,
bought
that's
for
what I'm doing
tomorrow
here,
night.
man. Okay, so now in your excitement to see this, in your salivating
Why am I excited?
readiness,
Is what you're asking?
Yes.
Yes.
Because I'm excited what Disney is doing by passing it off to certain directors that have a lot of talent and letting them take the reins, like Rian Johnson, who's done a bunch of good movies such as Looper, the movie Brick. And so they're recognizing talent and then awarding them the biggest, the mother of all franchises to kind of take the lead. So I'm excited to see what a director like that can do. And so this is my excitement going in. Like I said, I have not seen it. I will see it tomorrow night. So I will kick it over to you, who's actually witnessed the movie.
Yes, indeed. Me
But
and
I
the
am really
priest.
excited. I know this is the
And me.
longest movie in the whole
And just Johnny.
franchise.
All right,
Yep.
cool. Well, DJ Herb, can we make it a foursome here?
He didn't see it.
All right, it's not a
No.
problem. Not a problem. I'm gonna pass it just Johnny because now having that knowledge and knowing that knowing what Adam is prepared for, which a lot of people were. That was the interpretation going in. This is new directors. This is the younger cast being more present. And
But my thing is is
yes,
what I loved about the original franchise. Most of the actors and most of the characters, they're kind of gone now. So it's like we're really kicking it over 100% to a new generation, not just of fans but of characters. And
Yes, we
so
are.
it's just like how to the old fans actually adapt. You know what I mean? Are they going to be the cynical type I don't know, it wasn't my movie growing up?
Of course they're going
There
to be.
is
That's
going
the-
to be that, but it's just
precedent
like
for this, right? Because the first, episode 1, 2, and 3, it's a clean slate aside from Yoda. It's a clean slate.
It mostly
Right.
is,
I
and we
wouldn't
see
say
how
that.
well that
R2D2.
worked out. All right, well, Johnny,
I
break
wouldn't
down
say
what
it's a
is
clean
this-
slate. I wouldn't say it's a
Well,
clean
okay,
slate.
what would you say, brother? Elaborate.
I would say it's
You're on the radio.
it's
Express.
a continuation of it because I feel with this
Right
one.
there.
You might get smacked in the head with this microphone talking that trash. Because there was a continuation that was there was a thread that was tied in, and
Yeah.
I feel that thread has been let go in this episode. That there's a very, very, very loose thread between the two trilogies, and particularly this episode. I think the thread was intact for episode 7, but for this one,
Yep.
I think the thread just been let go.
That-
So
that-
I mean, and that's my only issue with this is that if you're looking for continuity, you might not see it. But if you take it for what it is, I liked it for what it is. But to have that continuity, that's what I'm missing, and that's my only criticism of it. But is that it leaves holes for it because there's no that connection to the two
Big.
trilogies.
Big holes. I mean,
Yeah.
it seems
All
like
right, well, hold on. Before we get in there, I hear that negative twang in your voice.
Oh, man.
Before we get
why don't you
there,
explain
we're
it to
talking
us a little bit of the
Yeah,
what's
we're
going
talking
on.
about Star Wars: The
Mhm,
Last Jedi. Now, this is Chapter 8 in the full 9-chapter series of Star Wars, originally written by George Lucas. And as Adam mentioned, this is the second chapter being taken over by a new cast. This is new stars. This is new directors. And this is a fresh interpretation. What's going on now is after the events of Episode 7, they found Luke Skywalker. Rey, the female protagonist of this film, has shown signs of Force sensitivity and possibly Force ability. Kylo Ren has killed Han Solo. He's taken out one of them. I'm sorry. It's not fresh, but it still hurts.
It still
spoilers,
hurts,
man. It's only 2
And-
years old.
And drastic
Still
changes
hurts,
have happened in both the First Order, which is the new iteration of the Empire, and the remnants of the Rebellion, which was strong in the Force Awakens, and now is really struggling. They're almost on their last legs. So the Rebellion's in dire straits. The hope on the horizon is hopefully Luke Skywalker, who has now been located, and the First Order, where we thought they were cut down, is on the rise, and they've got all new equipment. They've got all new I was gonna say management. They've got all new leaders and forces at the
They
helm.
do. That's new management.
And, well, yeah, but it's not quite. It's not a company, brother. You can make First Order sound like Google.
You can still,
In some ways it is, but semantics. But go ahead.
yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, we start off with the rebellion on the run. Like the movie starts off with them actually running from the First Order, and things are looking bleak. And that's where they jump us in. Now, I have to say, I enjoyed the action in this more than I think any other Star Wars movie so far. Force Awakens came close, but this one really focused on showing us all aspects, which each movie kind of had its strengths and weaknesses. They kind of showed us this and avoided the others. Like, no, we'll give them that. We'll give a taste of that in the next movie. This one put it all on the table. We had they had the dog fights with the fighters. They had your lightsaber battles. You had your hand-to-hand combat. You had your gunfight and blasters and people that actually hit things. Stormtroopers that can hit a target. Rebellion fighters that can actually duck, bob, weave, employ some defense and do some real stuff. And one thing I really love, which we'll talk about this because it was one of the sources of criticism for the movie. It gave us a lot of the expected acts that we saw in Empire Strikes Back, and a lot of maneuvers in the Return of the Jedi. And people are really harping on, well, Star Wars is doing the same thing over and over again, right? Well, I thought, well, what the? Oh. Okay, I don't know. I think Herb stabbed himself in the corner. He heard Star Wars was different. He couldn't take it. There were a lot of curveballs that the audience was thrown. That was really refreshing to me because I love when a movie that's as established as the Star Wars franchise
Mixes it up.
Yeah, isn't afraid to take chances. They're not like resting on their haunches, getting comfortable.
They did more than that. They flipped the table.
And I think that's my issue because of that. Because I mean, you walk me down this path,
Go ahead, man.
and you flip the table for the sake of, and I'm just like that's my issue. It's like you purposely walk me down this path, and you stop me. And it's as if you teased me on purpose to shut me down. And I'm just kind of like, is it refreshing because you took this turn, or for me, I feel like it's a cheap turn. Oh, okay. It's a cheap twist.
It's like you played me a little bit.
You played me, and I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's not even like me holding on to some sort of nostalgia of the past and what my experience was with the first trilogy, the second trilogy, or the prequel trilogy.
So I think the hell with that.
But I just feel that it's like you walked me down this path that I'm like, okay, 1 + 1 = 2. I got you. And it's like, no, 1 + 1 actually equals 6. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like it's hard for me to follow that. But I mean, at the same time, if I'm a brand new fan, hey, it works.
Well, my thing with the Star Wars franchise, and like any franchise too, that's like established in the past and when you were a kid, if you're going into a new movie and you're expecting it to be exactly like it was or to relive that childhood thing, like you're going in for the wrong reasons.
Absolutely.
Because that just can't happen.
Absolutely.
You can't relive that, you know what I mean? And so you're already going in with the wrong mindset, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it's not going to... And to be honest with you, I liked Episode 1 when I saw it in theaters. You know what I mean?
So
like
did
that.
But
like,
I was also like a naive 15-year-old.
Exactly, but you know what? Does it matter then when you were a kid? You know what I mean? When you saw it when you were...
Yeah, but you still like it now?
Do I still like it now? I can watch it now and remember what it was like when I first saw it. So like, does it hold up? And am I ranking it like along with the other ones? Probably not. But like, I also am not gonna crap all over it because it was like did a disservice to my childhood or something.
But
like
that's
so many people have had.
That's when you sort then versus what it is now, right? Does it stand the test of time? And
but does anything honestly like if
some
you
movies
look at
do stand the test of time.
Some of them do, but it's rare. You know what I mean?
And some of them are Star Wars movies. They stand the test of time, and that's what makes this review and sort of these sets of movies pretty important. Is that we have to they come with a caliber.
So
well, hold on. Let's get
Johnny's
thoughts on it because you saw this picture.
Yeah.
Let us know what you break it down for us, man.
So they flipped the table. I don't think that's a bad thing. I actually like the fact that they basically pull a 180. They, what they did, a lot of opposite things of what they did in The Force Awakens, where they're sort of playing towards nostalgia. They sort of almost in a little bit of a offensive kind of way. They took that nostalgia and they sort of
you mean offensive like they went on the attack, not offensive like
they sort of it
like
felt,
they said your mama.
Yeah, well, it felt like they were a little bit. They took the offense against the fanboys of 30 plus years and whatnot against them. But once again, I didn't care. I'm a fanboy. I really enjoy the Star Wars franchise. I've played tons of games. I've watched all the movies multiple times, all that good stuff. And I was okay with that. With what they're doing. A little bit aggressive with what they did, but that's not my problem. My problem is with the writing and with the plot.
Yeah.
And because of the decisions that they did with the plot, it made very key characters do stupid things. It was bad, sloppy writing that felt like it was Hollywood taking control and doing the safe sort of dramatic thing for the instantaneous effect and not thinking about the long-term repercussions of how that's going to affect a story that's very long-term and takes those considerations.
Saying that for a company that owns Marvel, who's actually played the long run really well with other projects.
Hold on, pause real quick. Adam, watch it in the microphone, man, because that comes through in the recording. Dude, I just want to say I understand everything you're saying, but I think everything that you just said sucks. I thought was brilliant because I noticed this, and let's talk about the characters for a second. Each of the characters had legitimate progression, and I think the writing showed that they're not the same ones that we just took for face value in the previous movie. In Force Awakens, we saw Poe as essentially the next Han Solo. This dude, he's like the charismatic kind of slick rebel, and in this picture, he makes mistakes. And not just mistakes, he makes mistakes with severe consequences.
Right.
And I thought that was a new dimension for his character that we really
his
had
character or the character of the Han.
Well, his character specifically, because we also see a difference between what Han would do and what Poe would do in this.
I have no problem with how they handled Poe's character. I thought it was great. I have no problem with all of the main characters. My problems are with Leia's character, with Commander Holdo, I believe her name is, the one with the purple, purplish lavender hair.
Her name is Hodor.
Yeah. The character development and the character arcs and how they sort of develop, fantastic. I actually think for the most part it's spot on. Rey, Kylo. Luke, all of it. I actually really enjoyed those aspects, but once again, if you take the entire middle section of this movie and throw it out and just take the beginning and end and stick those two together, you miss nothing.
Okay,
you miss nothing plot-wise.
That's a little too extreme, but I do understand what you're saying. There was a whole section of this picture that takes place in a casino that I thought really went nowhere. And the thing is, they lead into it as this big plot development. And all it really was is a convenient excuse to show like the plight of people and why is there rebellion in the downtrodden society that exists under the Empire. We got a better view of this in Rogue One. This was a real quick way to show that, well,
it was
the
a real
rich
quick
eat the poor. And the problem with it is everything happened very conveniently, and it takes away from the momentum of a story that was going really well, really fast, but really solidly paced. It kind of sucks the wind out of it for about 20 minutes. It presents it in a way that we get exposition, then we get perfect example, then we get exposition, then we get new character, and example again through exposition. What I mean by that is, at one point, they describe poverty in a position of we're surrounded by rich people. How can this be that bad? Someone is told to look through a telescope, and immediately you see animal abuse, child abuse, and racism all in the same shot in the same 30-minute span. And you're just like, oh, well, I guess that made my point. Moving on. And I thought that part was shoddy. That part's the one that really struck out to me as, you know what, they had an idea and they just needed to fill a few minutes to get from point A to point D.
I think you're being real generous. I would say that, and I'm not even going to describe the following scene after. That and the following scene after, I felt all that was just a waste. It did nothing to further push the plot at all. I mean, there was a fight sequence that happened, which fans really wanted that fight sequence to happen because you saw Force Awakens, and you wanted that fight scene to happen. But I felt that casino scene, the scene that happened right after that entire piece happened right after it, was all a complete waste that led up to the final fight. The final fight on the ship, if you will. That's it. Other than that, I felt that whole 45-minute chunk was just a waste for the plot. But that being said, I was still trying to go see this movie because it's still a great movie. But if you're looking for continuity, you're looking for a story that's told very fluidly, this ain't it. But if you're just like, hey, I want to see some lightsabers, I want to see some people scrapping, I want to see Rey do her thing, I want to see Finn, I want to see all the people I fell in love with back in Force Awakens, you need to go see this because I'm gonna go see it again. Even though I still have a problem with the issues of the writing, because I think Johnny's 100% right. The writing was shoddy, and it's one of those. I can't wait for J.J. Abrams to get his hands back on this one, I'm really gonna be interested to see how does he handle this, because I mean he did Force Awakens, and now he's gonna do Episode 9. This middle piece has nothing to do with him, so it kind of undid some of the things that was in Force Awakens. How's he gonna now try to not revert it back, but how's he gonna turn it into something else that ends on a note that's gonna expect?
How did J.J. Abrams get here, by the way?
J.J. Abrams cut his teeth on television. So
no, I get it, but how did he get here?
He's not there.
I think he's.
As in getting the keys to all the franchises. How did he get the job?
I love his work. I think he's got a style.
See, I don't, but like, so how did he get?
I think nerd culture trusts him. I sit with a couple of buddies of mine. Like he has his hands to the keys of the two pillars of sci-fi.
But how did he get it?
Of Star Trek and Star Wars.
He didn't do so bad.
But how did he get the first one? You know what I mean? Like
he got the first one from being J.J. Abrams, who somebody trusts with doing like legit TV.
What was the legit TV?
I'll say epic level. And when you work in lens flares as a stylistic thing.
Stealing Spielberg got him there.
Do you think he stole?
Yes.
How do you think he stole Spielberg?
By doing all the tropes that Spielberg has in his movies, like what's that?
Safe?
What's the movie with the alien that
Cloverfield?
No, the
Battlefield Earth.
Yes, that one. Yeah, Travolta popped out. But stealing his style, but just doing it a little bit weaker. You know what I mean?
Okay,
doing
so your problem
family
is with Super.
thing.
You didn't like
Super. I didn't like that. Yeah, it's just
right.
it's
and,
just taking.
Super 8. I mean,
I think
Super
he
8.
builds up his movies better than anybody I've ever seen. Honestly, like he'll drop a little hint, and all of a sudden you're excited about it like that.
Well, I can see that,
and
but
he
he's
builds
not
and builds
untalented.
and builds. He's not
He's not.
untalented, but he's completely average.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I can't
agree.
wait for him to get back on this too, but that's because I want to see where he'll take the story. I really like the presentation. I really like this chapter, and I really like it for a lot of the reasons that a lot of people are complaining. And it's not as divisive as people would like to see. And you mentioned earlier, the old heads would really like to see it carry on that old school Star Wars feel from the original trilogy. This is what they grew up with, and this is what they knew. And then the newer folks it's a very millennial sensibility where it's like, no, man, I grew up with Clone Wars, and we all acknowledge the prequels were bad, but the Clone Wars were good. And I want to, get this new era of, a more nihilistic force is a thing, is a tool versus a religion type mentality and stuff. And this movie doesn't cater to either, and I think that's beautiful because you're never going to satisfy both
I know
realms of Star Wars fans. You are never going to. So don't even try. Just tell the story that you want to tell and tell it properly.
I just wish they would give it to
you're going to catch
director.
a lot of hate. You're going to catch a lot of anger, but people are still going to see it, and then they're going to find the good in that. And it's not finding the good in the bad, it's finding the good in what's not their ideal. Okay, this is not giving them fan fiction. This is giving them a good movie. I recommend this highly, and I recommend it as a movie that you're probably going to have your own inklings going in because it's part of a long franchise. You're never going to please every Star Trek fan, every Doctor Who fan, every Game of Thrones fan, and just like that, every Star Wars fan is never going to be completely happy. But you know what? Tell them to suck it. It's a good movie. Episode 8, Star Wars The Last Jedi. I highly recommend it. And I got to know, around the room, what'd y'all think of Luke?
Luke was great. Loved it.
All right, I'm out.
All right.
Luke was good. I mean, I thought Luke was good.
I loved it. They portrayed Luke as a...
he wasn't happy with it, though. Hamill wasn't happy with it at first.
No, he was not.
He's still not happy with
several parts of it, including the portrayal of Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia, the way they handled the character in this particular chapter, and he voiced his negative opinions. But I think that's because he's close to the actress and close to the character, so he's not really inclined to see different things done with them. The movie throws you curves, as I mentioned, and a lot of them are with what we would have expected from Carrie Fisher. It's not like she goes over the dark side or anything. That's not a spoiler. It's just a thing that's, that's what it is.
It ain't gonna happen.
Yep. But it gave a lot of credence to the, the ire that audience are having, saying that this is different, this is new, they didn't do this thing that I wanted. And I think that's beautiful. There's a lot of advancement in Kylo Ren's character. You really see his struggle come through. It's not just like, well, we heard about him. You heard about him being a dick, so I guess we just take it at face value. No, we see where he came from, why he is the way he is, and we have a solid idea of where he's going to go. We see Rey's travel and exploration of the Force, which is amazing. We get new ideas about the Force. I almost said something that would have been a spoiler. I'm not going to.
Don't.
I will say though that the effects in this were amazing.
Yeah.
This movie looked beautiful, and there was a lot of care taken in not just the visual effects and the presentation. I mean, I'm not lasers and lightsabers and stuff, but also characters. We get new wildlife. We get new characters involved in the story, like people characters, but also they're the porgs and the crystal wolves, like animal life. And the way they handled this was they did half puppeteering, half CG. They combined them.
They were like minions.
A little bit, and I thought that it made them look very real, very believable. It didn't take me out of the story when I'm watching. Okay, there's Mark Hamill and there's Carrie Fisher, and now here's some guy in a CG suit, in a green suit. It wasn't anything like that. So I was blown away because I expected to be on either side of that. It's either for the new millennial fans or it's for the old heads. And no, we got character progression. We got a story that exists as a story in itself, not catering to either faction of fan. And we got a much less thirsty Finn in this one. To be fair, he fell into a coma at the end of Force Awakens. He wakes up in from the coma at the start of this movie. And he's all about, wait, oh God, where's Rey? Where's Rey? She all right? Wait, can I see Rey? Is she around? Is she in the house? He was thirsty then, but after a few minutes, he gets that out of his system, and it's just like, no, hold up, people gonna die if I don't get my head in the game, and then it becomes a legitimate movie. I wasn't satisfied with everything. There was one scene with him that I thought was really shortchanged, but a lot of the rest of it was beautiful cinema. That's what I'm going to say about it. That's the last thing I'll say about it. It was Star Wars, The Last Jedi. I give it a thumbs up. JM?
Already gave it a thumbs up.
All right.
Thumbs down. It's a protest vote. It's thumbs down. I do not like the plot and how it was written. It was it's the agenda of Disney, and their goal for this movie.
All right, just Johnny dragging it out, but I'm gonna kick it over just to Black Adam, who's got to go. All right, have we changed your mind? Are you still excited?
You better go see it.
Doesn't matter what anybody says. Obviously, I'm gonna see it.
That's right.
He's gonna see it.
Herb, you gonna go see it?
Johnny's vote for the negative.
You'll definitely be entertained.
I'm not gonna pay for it.
All right.
You'll definitely be entertained, but I mean, it's Disney. This is Disney's time to sort of say there is going to be way more Star Wars in the future, and that's what this movie was all about. It was setting up the next 50 Star Wars movies.
Okay, there's one more in the chapter. I'm hoping they don't go nuts, but you're
oh,
right.
No.
They might.
They're going nuts.
That was the Star Wars. That was Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Check it out. It got 2 of our 3 recommendations. All right, and this has been the Geek Down here on WEMF Radio. I want to thank you all for joining us. You can catch us every Monday night right here on WEMFradio.com, or if you go to geek-down.com, you can get all our information and all our shows. Also, if you were watching live on Twitch, you saw our pretty faces, but if you weren't, you can check us out at twitch.tv/thegeekdown. Also, you can follow us on SoundCloud, on Facebook, we're on iTunes, Twitter, we're all over the sucker, and on YouTube. If you search The Geek Down on YouTube, we're the first one to come up, and you can see all our videos there. But until then, we will catch you. Actually, I believe this is our final show for 2017, so we'll catch you in January. And, dude, hopefully you have a happy Hanukkah, a Merry Christmas, respectful Kwanzaa, very, very deep and solemn Ramadan. And, dude, happy holiday in general. And we will catch you all in the 1/8. I'm not going to say that. That sounds terrible. In 2018. But be excellent to each other. Peace.